Hello, I'm Margie Kay with the UnX Network, and we have started special presentations, and this is our very first one. This is a monthly presentation that we do on a Saturday. It's not always the same one, but if you will watch your email and newsletter for our announcements, you will be able to see when these meetings are being held and who the speakers are going to be. You can get all that information at unxnetwork.com. My speaker today is a very good friend of mine and a co author of a book that we wrote together called The Fast Movers. Now, Bill Spicer specializes as an aircraft engineering consultant. He works as a design and technical lead for a small aviation design company. He has an aviation career that spans 45 years. He graduated from Kansas State University with a degree in design and has worked on numerous aircraft before specializing in the interior arrangements and certifications. In 2010, he authored a book of his experiences about being able to see UFOs, UAPs during the daytime using his polarized UFO observation technique to record them using a digital camera with a proper UV filtering. He self published the book titled Beyond Watching, a Journal of Experiences Understanding UFOs, outlining his experience of how he came about this discovery. And during this process, Bill communicated extensively with known astrophysicist Dr. Rudy S. Child and others in the study of UFOs, such as author retired Reverend Barry Downing. His photos used in the book were examined by Dr. Rudy S. Child, and he stands by that they were not faked, and the quantum physics knowledge he observed and shared may have proven a theory of how UFOs operate. Bill lives in Wichita, Kansas with his wife. And as I mentioned, he is a co author of the book, The Fast Movers. Welcome, Bill.
Thank you. Thank you, Margie.
Thank you for being the presenter for today. So I will just let you take it away.
Okay, I will share my screen. Sure, I got the right one here. I want that one. Share. Is it coming through?
Yes, just fine.
Okay. I am going to talk today about the quantum UFO observation technique. And as you see, I have up there a pretty good picture of what I can see on a normal basis using this technique, which I was shown in 2009 in, I'm going to call them lucid dreams, very lucid dreams. Astral is a better description, where I've actually had contact with higher dimensional beings. Okay. I was on their craft and they showed me how to do this. Okay. And I labeled it, the event is here. That's the message I've been getting since last year, that the event is here. They are showing up in their craft everywhere. This is global. I'm in communication all the time with people in Europe, Australia, that are seeing the same kind of things, having an awakening experience. And it all has to do with consciousness. That's your soul. That's who you are. That's your energy. That's your personality. That's who makes you you is involved in this, because that's who we really are. And we're all having this experience through our level of consciousness. And that is an interface in what we call the quantum entanglement. It's actually, they call it the QED vacuum. That is where our thoughts, our energy, everything comes from. And not just us, but everything in creation, as I've been shown. And what I use are, what they showed me on the craft was to use some polarization filtering, because they kept showing me on a monitor how to do this. And at first I didn't quite understand until it happened the next day when I was wearing my solar shield sunglasses. Yes, my sunglasses. And I happened to have a digital camera in my hand, and I was at work, and I saw a bright light in the sky because I happened to be outdoors walking with the camera. And I said to my friend walking with me, "Can you see that in the sky?" And they said, "There's nothing there." And I said, "Yeah, there is." And I handed him my sunglasses, and then he could see it. So I had that aha moment. Yes, using this polarized filtering is what they were trying to show me on the craft. And what I found is the darker the shade of the polarization lens, the filter, you'll get better results. And polarization, it's of light. Light's an electromagnetic radiation from the sun in this case. And many different materials can be used for polarization. And the plastics that are used nowadays in the solar sunglasses work quite well. And as in my studies, I found out that in the quantum mechanics, the electromagnetic waves are coming through, like from the sun, but they can be either particles, and they're called photons. Okay. So when the electromagnetic wave is quantumized, they're actually given a spin. So everything is spinning. And I also found that there's several different types of polarization. There's linear, which is what your typical polarized sunglasses do. Everything's linear, circular, or elliptical. And I found that the linear polarization actually works the best. And that is from my own experience and experimenting with my cameras and using different filters, polarizers. I found that the linear works the best. It brings in the crisp, a much more crisp image than if I use the circular or an elliptical. And then as everybody likes to ask me, well, how does this work? Well, light, through the digital camera, how does it work? And so I have a brief description here. It travels obviously through your polarized lens into the camera lens, and then it goes into what are called capacitors. And then all that energy, and notice I said energy, is gathered and sent to the controller in your camera. Okay. And then that's when black, white, red, yellow, green, the whole color spectrum is processed. And when I spoke with Dr. Shield about this, we made some observations that a lot of times in the photos that you're going to be seeing, there's a lot of energy being sent through, and that energy, the sensor gets overloaded. The charged capacitor and the sensors get so overloaded, they just turn black. So wherever there's black in the photo on the object, we've determined that those are high energy areas of energy signals being given off. Now I get the big question. What is a lens flare? Because I've been told, oh, these are lens flares and everything else. Well, a lens flare is just caused by stray light that comes in, usually at the very edge of a camera lens. Now I'm completely covering the camera lens with a polarized lens filter. So when the light comes in, it kind of reflects and it gets refracted again. And that gets basically sent on through to the sensor, and you get these strange light effects. And everybody's seen them. You've got a cell phone camera or any digital camera will show up readily. And where I have them marked in red with red arrows, and they look like little balls of light or shading will appear. And this was a test example that I took without any filtering and just using my cell phone camera, looking right at the sun. And as you can see, there's different shading and things like that. It's a refraction of the light and it just gets picked up again. And what I'm going to show you is not that, okay? This is my first camera that I used to take my pictures and video with. And it was a very simple, Canon camera. It even was DVD, mini DVD. And as I said, it didn't have a whole lot of resolution. And I only shot it in optical because I didn't use any of the digital features to enhance it or anything because I wanted good photos. But these are the settings. I put it on easy settings, sports, because it would pick up things that are moving quickly. And then I invested in another camera. Now this is the one I've taken a lot of video with because it does a really good job. I can set it on a tripod and it's 16.44 megapixels. And I usually have about 14, the image of 16 MP. And so it's one of my better cameras, but I eventually got into just using an old iPhone. I had an old 5C iPhone, and now I have an SE. And some of my best photos recently since 2021 have occurred using just a simple cell phone camera. And I actually made a video that is on my YouTube channel that describes how to use just your cell phone. But this is the viewing technique. Basically, I have a camera tripod when I'm using my larger cameras, and I can position the camera and look into the sky. Okay, I'm fortunate I have a 2-story house, so I can stand in the shade, and I have a larger fence that I can stand behind. So if I look up, I'm not going to, look directly into the sun, or I stand where I'm in the shade of a tree. Actually, I've done that also. And so I hold or attach a polarized filter. Now this I got right out of the solar, the good pair of sunglasses. I popped the lens out, taped it over the camera lens, and away we went, because this is my first experience was doing it this way. And this is an example of what I do with the camera. And as with any of this, if you're thinking you're going to look directly at the sun with your own eyes, let the camera do the work. Even the people are standing around, at least, wear a good pair of sunglasses when you're out doing this. But I usually just aim the camera towards in the sky, an area that I mentally focused on during meditation. Remember, meditation, that's the part that's key to this. And then I move the camera, usually with a tripod, or if I have my cell phone, I just look in that area where I meditated towards. And sometimes I just aim it directly, hold it up, and aim the camera directly at the sun. Now, this is the important part. I go through, there's 3 main steps. I go into a meditation before going outside to even begin setting up the camera. I mentally invite the star beings to show themselves. Now, our ability, we as humans have been told, nah, you can't do this, that our thoughts don't have meaning, okay? Well, our thoughts and our projections, our visual thought, as I call it, are very powerful. And so I also put out an emotional plea sometimes to the star beings to show themselves. And the biggest thing that people have is fear. Do not let fear, get rid of fear, calm yourself down and go into meditation, but do not be fearful. If you're going to do this, if you have any fear, you're going to have a little bit of a problem sometimes. And remember, contact can come in many forms, but mostly they will show you their craft. Now, I've had other forms of contact during this time, lucid dreams. I've had telepathic messages, okay? I literally have been told when to go outside. If I'm just sitting watching television, I've had to get out of my chair because I go grab my cell phone And I know when I get the message, or energy comes down through my head into my shoulders and my body. And I know that I call it an electrical disturbance. Okay. I can feel the energy. And I said, well, I better go get the camera. And I usually just go out and start setting up and taking the photographs, as you'll see. And I usually wait 5 or 10 minutes after I've set up the camera, and guess what? The craft will begin to show up if this is your first experience, but be patient. Now, here's an example of what I do with my cell phone camera, okay? I basically just pop the lens out of a pair of good solar lens sunglasses, and I just hold it basically with one of my fingers sometimes, or I go ahead and tape it where it'll flip over. And other people I've taught how to do this, that's what they've done. They just tape it to their cell phone camera on the back side, and it's always there for them to use, okay? And I am showing you an example. Without the polarizing filter, there's nothing there, okay? There is nothing there. It won't even show up a lot of times. All you'll see is the sky, just like a lot of people see. Then I put the polarizer on, and all of a sudden, this was just the next frame after this shows up in the sky. I can see with it, and the image gets clearer. You're looking down in the lower left corner, you'll see the chimney on my house. I kind of use it as a reference point, and this was taken later in the afternoon, after 5 o'clock in the evening, when I was doing this in 2020, actually. Then I took a series of photographs, and I've had these looked at by Larry, or Lauren. Wayne actually did this, who is one of the other authors in the book. He's looked at this, and he found things that I missed initially, but it is full of fast movers. And here's an example of one of them. And notice the craft is not white. It is giving off an energy field that I've actually noticed that they'll actually project an energy field above or below the craft. And this is what they start to look like. And that is not a bird. And then it appeared again, and Larry was good at finding this for me and actually did a really good job of enlarging. And you'll notice the shape actually has these energy fields above and below it. And that's one of the things about what they call, I was told, it's inflationary vacuum state propulsion. That's what these craft run on. And here's another example. And it looks like the image is coming through as kind of blurred in the background. This is another thing that starts to happen, which I can't fully explain, but the images will start to come into the foreground. The craft will push themselves into the image. And after I got this photo, this is when everything started to really happen. And you can even see the energy field above the craft. And I later remote viewed into this craft, and it has beings in it, okay? And they're very much humanoid like us. And this was on September 25th of 2020. Now, with all these photos, I have a good photo editing software program where I can completely remove all the sunlight and the saturation, they call it, or luminosity, and the washed out, and prepare to look at more detail of what the craft have going on around them even. And this is what I do typically, just to make sure there's something there, because sometimes you'll get refractions, kind of double images. But I go through a stage where I take the basic photo, crop it, the area I want to look at, and then I turn it to black and white. Then you can start to see details sometimes that your mind in color doesn't see. And then I also take the black and white and reverse the image. Then you know you've got something, because that's just you can't cheat that. And it shows a lot of the effect of what's going on around these craft, the geometry, how they're made, and the background, if there's anything else going on around it, which in many cases, I'll show you later, there are things going on. Now, this photo was taken in 2020, and I also used my cell phone camera to get the main photo, but earlier I used my early camera, and I caught the photo where I've got the two laid on one on top of the other. And you'll see the one on the bottom is basically unenergized. That's the word I use. I ask them in my meditation to show themselves and unenergize. And a lot of times they'll do it, and other times they won't. But this is the same craft. I was acknowledged telepathically that this is the same craft, and that we can't right now unenergize when I was looking through the cell phone. Because, as I'll point out later, these are time travelers. They can bend and travel in space-time, okay? Now I want to get to something that's been on everybody's mind. When the videos came out in 2017, December of 2017, and I had my chance to get my hands on the copies that were out there officially on the Navy's website and released. And I did a lot of review, and I said, well, you know, I've seen the same thing that they're seeing, and probably in more detail. And as we saw about, 2 weeks ago, where they made their presentation, they did show some of this video again and some other videos. And they also showed what was considered their leaked, which is not leaked now, the video that had photos taken from an F-18. And the photo at the top, the US Navy leaked photo, they show one of the craft, and I blew it up a little bit. And then I also, about, within a week or two, I started seeing this. After I saw the leaked photo, I went out and took photographs, and I'm seeing almost the same thing, okay? Except mine are probably in better resolution due to the technique that I'm using. And I will describe here why they're able to see them from these jet fighters, okay? And here's another example of another one of my photos. And the shape in the center of these, there's actually a small disc, and it can change and pivot as these move through the sky and as they move through the space. And again, this is the leaked photo, one of the second photo taken out of that video that I was able to get. And I've shared this with Margie and Wayne Lawrence. Well, why can they see these? How come they can do this? Well, military jet fighter aircraft, their canopies are made from polycarbonates. And to make them stealthy, they have gold tinting put into them. So they are polarized. They're linear polarized. And they also have another layer of iridium tin oxide, which makes them stealthy. Okay, so radar waves, IR energy will bounce off like in fractals. Now, because they're flying in this open cockpit, if they didn't have polarized canopy, they would literally fry up. It's like being in a sauna, okay? So they had to do that. This is not new technology from that point of view. So that's why they can see, like the cell phone that took the F-18 video and some of the stills that I showed you. This is why they can see it, because they have polarized canopies. So the light is polarized, and it's linear polarization. And as a comparison, I took out of the video, some of the videos. If you look on the far left, I have one of the main blow-ups of the large ship, as it was described, the Tic Tac. And then I have one of my photographs that I took in 2012, and they're almost carbon copies. And I changed mine to black and white because theirs was in black and white, because that's how the infrared images show up that are in the videos. So just for comparison, but they're very, very similar. And they too, they're fast movers. These things are moving faster. I mean, they're more than supersonic. When they get moving, they are so fast, which is why we coined the term the fast movers. And here's another example, the Navy Go Fast video. They were looking down with the imaging that they had and lock on, and it was down on near the water. Well, I've taken pictures of these Tic Tacs staring back at me. You can even see there's windows in them. Okay. That's what I saw on July the 4th of 2020. And I went out it was in August of 2020. That's when things started changing. I could see a lot more activity going on. And a lot of times the images I was getting were unbelievable. The whole sky was like filling up. And I'll be quite honest, they took control of my camera. When I took this still, they had control of my camera. I didn't even push the button. And this was with my cell phone that I took the photo. And I was just trying to find a comparison to the whole fleet of them. Well, this is a good example. After I turned down the luminosity using my photo editing filter, this is the kind of things that I was seeing. And I can understand the young naval aviator saying there's a whole fleet of them, and why he was so excited, because I see this routinely, and my imaging is this clear once I do my take the photo and zoom in on it. I'm going to step back a little bit and give you a little history. There's a series of still photos here that I'm going to show you that go back to 2009 and 2010. And I could see these in the sky with just my polarized sunglasses on. And one afternoon, the whole sky filled up with large orbs. And then this craft appeared, and there's small orbs coming in and out of it. And I called it the tender ship, because this thing moved around from one point in the sky to another point, east and west, so fast, I could hardly keep up with it. And there were no other aircraft flying around. And there were also large orbs all over the sky that afternoon. This was about 2 p.m. and this appeared in the sky. And here's an enlargement of it. And it had a tube that was sticking out, and there were 2 black windows on it. And then there was elements on the front surface that appeared bright red, orange red in the sky. And that's what I first noticed in the sky moving around. Then I got my binoculars out, and then I got my first digital camera, the Canon, out and started taking pictures of it. And I didn't get any video of it because sometimes it was easier for me just to hold it and take a series of photos, because this thing was moving so fast, it would have just blurred the image. But this is what I saw, and the whole sky was full of orbs moving around. Now, earlier that morning, these 2 craft went from east to west. It was 10:30 in the morning. I was out having a cup of coffee on the patio, which was on the north side of my house, and I was looking north, and there was not a cloud in the sky. And earlier in the morning, a large commercial airliner came over my house. So that was fresh in my mind. And then all of a sudden, these appeared, and I saw them fly over my neighbor's house and look into the north. And I would estimate they were approximately a half a mile away from me. And each one of these were the size of a large jumbo jet. And I mean a large jumbo jet, each one. And I watched them, and I got one picture. They were moving so fast, I only got one still of it. And again, I had my sunglasses on, and I'd already put another lens filter over my camera that I had. And I don't know why, again, I had my camera out there with me, but I did. And I was fortunate that I got one photo of this and I saw two together. And this is pretty typical of what I see. And a lot of times I'll just zoom in on an area after I take a still photo. This is using my really nice camera. And this is actually a still that I took. And the sky is full of these things all the time moving around. And as you can see in the enlargement, these are what these craft look like. They look like big white soft pillows, but they are craft. And along the edges, there's usually black line around them. And these are field emitters. This is in support of the inflationary vacuum state propulsion. This is how they operate. And Rudy and I, when we were talking, we noticed this, that large dotted lines indicates a lot of energy coming out of that. And the camera associates that and assigns the color code black because it's saturated, can't do anything else. But this is what the sky looks like. It'll all be filled up with these, which I believe these are floating around in what I've called and what we've called the quantum consciousness field. It's all around us. Our thoughts interact with it. Our being, our conscious level interacts with this constantly. Now we're going to get into something that I saw happening quite regularly, and that is these craft like to appear in tandem pairs. Now, this touches upon an interesting topic in quantum physics, is that there are virtual particles, and it's called non-locality. And you can have two particles existing an inch apart, 10 miles apart, and they can operate identical, okay? This has already been proven in scientific labs. It was proven that the energy, they've measured it, even 100 miles apart. But when I started noticing this, these tandem pairs started showing up, and they're coupled. A lot of them will be coupled. And in this case, two separate craft, they're not identical, but they're tandem. And I believe they're actually, this, as it's shown, is actually one craft that has a separation between it. It's basically the engine or the field emitters are behind it. They're pushing it like a train, okay? For lack of better words, it's the occupants are in the forward, and there's actually another set that are behind pushing it just like a train or a locomotive. And this is where it gets interesting, because when I started seeing these type of craft in the sky, I'll be quite honest, the paranormal activity in my life went through the roof. And I know I saw a lot of different things in the sky, but I also had a lot of paranormal happen that until I figured out what was going on. But this craft was the first one that I saw that I could actually say it has a lot of design features in it that could possibly even be human made, okay? From an engineering standpoint, this could easily have been built by humans. And there's even a cockpit in it. And you can see the framing around where the canopy is and the cockpit. And I later remote viewed into this, and I found out there were two grays in this craft, okay? Grays were piloting this craft, okay? They were not human, but they were grays. So it kind of shows you the level of technology and what they have got at their disposal. Now here's another fine example of this coupling effect of the quantum vacuum energy field, which is happening inside the quantum consciousness field, actually, but this is the actual physical, they call it the QED vacuum. And this is where particles and consciousness all come together. And this is where you start to see the effect of the craft and the ionization that happens in our atmosphere, okay? These craft were here in our atmosphere traveling, and they were actually ionizing our atmosphere. And they were coupled together, and they actually were traveling in pairs. I caught this in a video, and it only happens in 2 to 3 frames, and that's all I see of it. And then they're gone. They are so fast that you blink, you miss it. And if I didn't have the video to slow down to like 1/8 speed, you would totally miss it. Then I started moving back to using my, my iPhone. And these are recent. Everything from now on will be fairly recent. This was in 2020. This is when I started having a lot of telepathic messages while I would just be sitting or watching television. Bill, you got to go outside. It's like 5:15 in the afternoon. I started documenting the time stamps. And this craft just appeared. Boom. It was there and it was gone. And what I do is I hold down the camera. Mine can take a series rapidly, my iPhone. I just hold it, and then I go back and review, and these things start showing up. Then this happened to where I was literally downloaded a huge volume of energy and down into my head, into my body, and said, you need to go outside now. So I went outside. It was around high noon. This was in November, I believe, in 2020. And this craft appeared, okay? And actually 2 appeared. And then it moved, looked like that. Then I looked again as I followed it, and then it faded away, as you'll see here. This is stills that I took until it just faded away. And then it looked like that. That was in August of 2021. And this is what I ended up remote viewing inside this craft. And what I saw were humanoids. And I got the distinct, message they were Pleiadians. 4 of them came forward to me. That there was so much light. In fact, I'm getting downloads right now of information that proves exactly what I'm saying is the truth. There were 4 individuals in the craft, and they came towards me, and I got overcome to where there was so much energy. I actually had to step back into my body as I was remote viewing. But this craft is Pleiadian. This is what their craft looked like when they're fully energized. Then later, I got the similar message to get outside, go do a sighting, and it was about 7 or so in the evening. And again, I got this image. It was the only one in the sky, and I was a little perplexed at first because I could see this through the camera lens. I mean, the camera, it was real easy to see. And this is what it looks like up close and with the luminosity turned off of it. And I got the distinct telepathic message, we're the Pleiadians, this is what our craft looks like. And they invited me to come aboard in a telepathic message. And I did finally remote view, and they looked exactly what I saw earlier, what I sketched up. There were 4 individuals. They were humanoid like us. Nobody talks. They use telepathy. Everything's mentally channeled, basically. They are 2 levels above us in frequency, okay? Or if you think of it as a dimension, but it's more of a frequency. They are 2 levels above us. Then I had another sighting the next afternoon where other craft started showing up. And this is when things started to get weird. Portals started showing up that I could see. And this is an enlargement. Again, this is a Palladian craft, and it's being projected in here, and it's coming through the portal. It's not a lens flare. There's so much energy coming off this craft, but right in here on the upper edge, you can see there's actually some structure. It's one of the panels, the field emitters. But this is the column of light, which is the portal that opens up. And I started to see this happen more and more now. And then this year, starting in January, this is when some of the craft, I went out at almost noon, and the sun was low in the sky, and I just happened to look up, and there's one of their craft just sitting there in the sky. It didn't look very big, and it wasn't very bright, but the camera picked it up. I just aimed it up there. And that was January the 22nd. Then later, I went back out, and this came through. And again, it's a Palladian craft. And here I'll show you some enlargements of it. But this is what their craft looks like in color. And you can see the top edge. It has some darkened areas, and there's some actually structure to it. On the top and bottom, these are the panels, the field emitters. And that's where the energy comes out. And if you notice on top, there's always this white energy. And there's, I'll get into a little later, but there's a conscious energy. It's another type of energy that our physicists and scientists have not been exposed to yet, okay? It's different. It actually is part of this quantum conscious field, is what this energy is. Then on January the 23rd, the next day, at 11:25 in the morning, I'm out in a parking lot, and I'm looking to the north, talking to people, and I have my sunglasses on, and they have sunglasses on also, and I'm getting ready to get in my car, and I look to the north, due north, and this bright white light shows up. And I said, well, I've seen that before. And because I had my cell phone camera ready with me, because I carry with me, I got a series of photographs, and two other people witnessed it with me, and we're seeing it through the camera as I was taking the pictures as this was moving towards the south. It came right over the parking lot and stopped, where all three of us saw this. This is where it stopped. You can see the parking lot has some lights in it, and I'm looking to the west, due west, and it's at 11:25 a.m. And then I did an enlargement, and I got rid of the luminosity. And this is a Palladian craft. It's one of their scout craft. And on the sides of it, there's two projections, and those are their field emitters. And on one side, the other side, it also has that. Then I went back out on the 6th of February at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And basically, it's the same Palladian craft that's coming through, the big one. For some reason, they wouldn't turn their energy down. I asked them to, but they wouldn't do that. I don't know why, but they were coming through a portal. And I got the sense that they weren't really wanting to stay very long. And then I moved a little later in the afternoon. I went back out, and that's when other things started showing up in the sky. And as I say, I'm looking right at towards the sun. You can see the guttering on the house. And then down in the lower left corner, there's a darker object, okay? We weren't alone that day. This is another craft, and I sensed it was there. It didn't emit white light. The ones that emit white light typically I classify as friendly. But if they aren't, I'm not quite as sure that they're very friendly, but that's my own perception. And here's a larger view, and there you can see there's a portal of light coming through, that they're coming through a portal, and there's more than one craft coming through. And these are Palladian. And I moved around a little bit. As I said, I went back out in March on the 13th, and the same effect came through, the same ones, except they came through a little bit better, and nothing else showed up. And this light, if you look up in the very top, there's actually a hole. And this is where they're coming through. That's their portal, is up here where I'm pointing at the top arrow. That's their portal where they're being projected in here. Now, this set of photos I actually shared with Margie, and it's been published in one of her other publications. And here I was walking around the corner of the house to go back to the front, and all of a sudden the sky was filled with these other craft that started showing up. So I took a few still photos using my cell phone camera. And then I went back outside later on March the 19th, and this started showing up. It was right above my house, sitting over my house, not even moving. And this is a Palladian craft. And it was much later in the afternoon. And normally I do this on a weekend. And that's when all the fun began. And I shared this with Margie also in her publication. The light portal, the craft are there, and then down in the lower corner, this fast mover shows up, and this is the enlargement of it, okay? I got one photo of it. I saw it flash into through the camera, and I happened to just hit everything just right, and it caught a really good photo of this. And that is a fast mover. Then things have really started to change. This was a couple of weeks ago. I started looking at the sky after I get home from work. I'd go out in the later in the evening, and then I started seeing these craft come through. And there's actually small dark craft, and this is not superimposed. This was sitting in front of the larger craft, okay? This thing's huge in the sky. And again, this is not Palladian though. I don't believe it's Palladian. And as I said, there's a propulsion system on the bottom and structure, and there's actually a small craft sitting in front of it. And that was seen on April the 24th at 5 o'clock. And that same afternoon, I took other photos. I was just kind of led in the direction, and I'm standing behind my fence. I have a 7-foot privacy fence, and I just happened to be turning away, almost wasn't going to take a picture again. And then this showed up in the photograph, okay? This thing flashed in and out, and it's moving quite quickly. I mean, I saw it moving around in the sky with my own eyes also. And I happened to get one photograph of it. And it's 3-dimensional. It even has a small tower device of some kind of pinnacle pointing off the top of it. Now, this is when things, this was my last major sighting that I've had, and I've remote viewed inside this craft. And this was at 7:14 in the evening on May the 10th. This is the last real good sighting that I've had where something came through and I had a telepathic message to get the camera, go outside, and start taking photographs. And I couldn't believe what I saw. When this was a clear photograph. There's trees in my yard. I just aimed towards the sunset, and this shows up. And this craft has very tall beings in it, which I will show you a photo of that I actually have from 2014 that I took an image, and they're Arcturian, okay? Very tall beings that have a lot of good energy associated with them, okay? And they are the 6th and higher dimensional beings or frequency above us. And this is a black and white, and then I reverse the image so you can see the details in the craft, okay? There's a lot of detail here. And this is an Arcturian craft. And I've remote viewed in it, and the beings look like what I show on the right, my right, and this is their craft, and this is what they look like. Okay, I did a rendering of the body of what I saw from the remote viewing, but I'm going to show you the head of the being. I took a photo of it using this same technique at night in 2014 at 9:30 in the evening at night in 2014. And that's what this was taken from. I took a still on the far left. The head was just going back in. I could see in my camera, using my cell phone is what I used to take this with, and I enlarged it. And this is looking through the veil. This is coming in from a higher frequency into our frequency in the third dimension. And I knew I'd seen this before, these eyes and this head and this energy. And then I just basically rotated it. And there's the eyes. You have kind of almond eyes and energy coming off the head and the face, basically. This is what the Arcturian's head looked like. And I used that and I confirmed it when I've been in my remote viewing. One frame later in my sighting from May the 10th at 7:14, as the larger craft diminished, and you can see it, it's still up there in the sky, there's another entity, this being, and this is Palladian, okay? Now I know this is because I've remote viewed in it also. And if you look higher up in the sky, there's even another craft in the sky, way in the upper right corner. But this is the Palladian craft. This is the bottom side of it. And there's kind of a swirling of energy above it. And notice the black X mark on the bottom of the craft. That is the field emitters. And that is the color that they look when they're in motion, when they're energized, fully energized. Then I took, recently I went out and sitting out here, and again, there's a portal with another craft appearing, and out beside it, there's a black ball of energy or a craft, and it has those little wings of energy on them. That if you go back to the one that had the pole sticking out of it or the tower, that's what this looks like when it's just sitting still and not moving. This wasn't moving. It later moved all the way through the sky into other areas of it, but this is a good photo of it. Then I moved to a different position, and this started coming through. Two craft came through, and they're quite large also. And this is unedited or anything. I didn't turn down the luminosity or anything. This is unedited completely. Then I zoomed in on it, and three other craft, these dark gray looking craft, and those are not birds. And that one that was sitting up there, that was just a dark orb, it's sitting in that formation. And they were just sitting there in the sky. I could see it through the, if I zoomed in with the cell phone. They were just sitting there, didn't move or anything. Now, I frequently, though, get asked, how do these craft and occupants get here? Well, they come through portals or wormholes. And some people, after the Roswell incident, mentioned that they come through donut holes in space-time, okay? Literally, a donut hole will open up in space-time. I have 4 separate individual, how do you want to say it? So 2 are in the videos and 2 are stills that show this happening, where craft will come through in the blink of an eye and appear, okay? And it happens very quickly, and these are wormholes. And I've written an article about it that was put on the website. Margie published it, and it supports the whole thing of our quantum conscious field, okay? And the great theoretical physicist, John Wheeler, he used to perform these choice experiments. And he would either do the famous double light slit experiment, is one of them. And basically where our thoughts are in these craft can open up holes in the quantum conscious field, okay? And theoretical physicists, they call it the QED vacuum. So the vacuum opens up and space-time is bent. They can actually bend space-time and warp the fabric of space. That's how they're getting here, but they also can change where they are in time. If you can warp space, you can also warp where you are in time. You can change where you choose to appear. Okay. And I actually caught 2 craft coming through there. And this is another screenshot that I took from October 17th, 2021 of a wormhole opening up. First of all, this craft appears in the video in over 3 frames. This is what it looked like in the frames. There's 3. The craft is there. I've got it circled in red. Then it moves in the sky. And then next, this huge portal opens up around it, and it went into the portal. It happened so fast in the blink of an eye. The portal opens up, and this is it. It's a black, basically it's like a black hole, just opens up in space-time. And the craft went into it. And I am looking up at the sky, videotaped it, and I see a white flash because it looks like a bright white flash in the camera while I'm holding the video camera. And here's another example that I caught with just stills using my cell phone camera. And this is the Palladian craft coming in. I showed you earlier what 2 craft actually came through this portal. And this is what happens where the fabric of space-time around the craft just gets really wavy. And then these 2 craft appear. Literally, they just appear. And these are Palladian. And now we come to one of the most interesting things, this field of the quantum conscious field. This is an example of what it looks like. And people say, like they have near-death experiences. I myself have had one when I was a young adult. When I was land surveying, I got stung by bumblebees, and basically I had a near death. I died from the bumblebee stings. Well, I was seeing light that looked like this tower of light. This is a craft that appeared for me, and I zoomed in on it, and this white blinding light shows up above it. This is how they communicate, the occupants of this craft. And this is a Palladian craft, okay? I know that, I feel a connection to that. And it's a pillar of light, Lausche, and it's an energy projection that they use to communicate, okay? And other people have seen this light. It's like near-death experiencers. A lot of times, this is the energy that shows up around the craft when they're moving. And this craft was not even moving. It was just stationary in the sky, and this light appears around it. As I was looking at it, it just intensified. And in one of my lucid dreams, I was actually allowed to touch this light. It has substance, and it is the energy that our theoretical physicists are trying to find actually right now. And this is a good example of it. And as I said, this is a fast mover craft. And if you look at it, it has this is basically on top. This is one of the energy fields on top. It's got beings in it. This is Pleiadian. I also remote viewed in it. And I want to thank you for watching and letting me present this presentation to you. And I would be more than happy to take questions. And I invite you to get the book, The Fast Movers, Evidence of High-Speed UFOs and UAPs. And I'd be glad to take any questions. or if anybody wants me to go back to any other of the photos, I will leave it up. Is that okay to leave the share screen up, or is
Yeah,
that?
sure. Sure, absolutely. If anybody has any questions, just go to that Q&A at the bottom of your screen and click on that, and you can type in there. Uh, to get things rolling, Bill, I do have a question, and I don't
Yes.
think that we've talked about this before.
Okay.
Is there any particular time of year that would be better for viewing the fast movers?
I find that the month of August and September, a lot of my, as we start to change seasons, it seems to be when this happens. And August and September, when that rolls around, I'm usually outdoors. And again, in January seems to be a really good time because the sky is clear a lot of the time during that time period.
Mhm.
So those are the two times of the year that I seem to have the best results. But as I experienced just a couple of weeks ago on May the 10th, it was a beautiful evening, and I got the call to go outside and go get that shot of the Arcturian craft and looked at it. And I'll be quite honest, that experience, as I was holding on to the camera, I actually almost fell to the ground, Margie. The energy I
Mm.
got, a download of energy, it was all I could do. I got the picture. I was hitting the phone, taking the pictures, and all of a sudden I just I'd almost grab hold to the fence that I was standing near to hold on to it because the energy just came
Yeah.
down through my body. I mean, it's like losing your kneecaps. The
Yeah,
energy was that great. I had this download of energy, and that's when I went inside, looked at the stills, and then immediately went in where I have a meditation area and started meditating. And this image of this being came through, and I said, "Aha! I've seen you before." And I've
Mm.
also been on one of their other craft where two of them were there, and one of them wanted to know why I was there or how I even got there, because I don't think they knew that I was telepathic or had the ability to remote view. And as you know, I took
Mhm.
your class, which kind of finalized my abilities, but that came after I had my near death experience. I became a little bit more psychic. And since 2012, I've had downloads of energy. That's what I think the Mayans are talking about, is this energy change would start to happen
Mhm.
and people would become awakened, as we talked about in 2014. That's when I did another presentation at a conference that you held. And that was the name of my presentation was The Awakening. And that's what's going on now. But anybody on the planet right now, and I say anybody, can do this. Okay. That's the beauty of it. There's anybody. If you have
Yes.
a cell phone camera and the technology, and all you need is a pair of these glasses or a lens out of it, and hold it over your cell phone camera, and project a thought of where you would like them to appear in the sky. But my best results happen, let's say, in the evening or at high noon sometimes, when I'm looking at and just aim towards the sun or just off the sunlight, and they will
Mhm.
show up. You'll see them in
Mhm.
the background as Larry or Wayne has looked. He's found things that I missed because I've sent and shared stills with him, and he'll find things that I totally didn't see. So,
Yeah.
you know,
It,
that's the
he's an
interesting part.
amazing analyst,
Yes, he is.
the
And
photographic analyst, and he always finds things.
yeah, he
Uh,
found things that I didn't even catch. I don't know how he does it, but he's got some
yeah.
special video editing software, I guess, that can find these in photos. And
Yeah.
but the biggest thing is this energy, this quantum conscious field. I think some theoretical physicists, that from things I've been reading lately, they're looking for this other energy and they can't put their finger on it. Okay, well, we've already
Mhm.
found it. There's a group of us. You're one of them. We have already found this. That's why, and I'll use the word, that's why our thoughts or conscious thoughts and awareness, they go in and out of this field. That's why people meditate or they pray and things happen. Okay, I'll use the word prayer. Things will happen. You put out an intention. And that's what I do with the meditation is I put out an intention, a good thought. And I said, okay, I'm interested. Oh, and by the way, I need to tell people, and I have to have a good picture to show them or they're not going to believe. You know, that's half the battle, is having a good photograph. And I just this week at work showed people this on my cell phone. That's my my background.
Mm-hmm.
And I had 3 people real interested real quick and wanted to, and the conversation started just like we're having now. A complete 1-hour
Right.
conversation took place at work. Almost got in trouble for it, but
Oh, yeah, I'll bet.
the,
Yeah,
the,
you got to
you know,
stay on topic.
I had 3 people stop and also shared with them the book. I brought that in and showed them, and then they were like, "Oh, I'm beginning to understand." And a lot of this also supports what the book that I was a Lieutenant Colonel Corso wrote,
Yeah.
and he wrote about these things. Okay, the time travelers. He called them time travelers, and these holes opening up in space in time. And he was a witness to this, I understand, from what I read. And I've got 4, as I said, 2 videos and 3 still photo experiences where these appear and then disappear, literally in the blink of an eye. It's all there and gone.
Well, a lot of people who are reporting UFOs to investigators,
Mhm.
one of the things that is pretty common now is that they see a flash and then
Yep.
they see a UFO.
Yes.
And I explained to them that I believe that this is a portal opening, the flash, and then
Mhm.
UFOs either coming in or going out. They'll see one just disappear, or like it's going through something that looks
Mhm.
like wavy blue water, but it's in
Yep.
the sky
Yep.
and it moves through and then it can't be seen on the other side. So a lot more people are becoming aware of this. And of course, the Facebook group, the Fast Movers,
Mhm.
is a good place to go to see pictures and video that other people are getting. Now,
Yes.
are people seeing this all around the world?
From my experience with the people I communicate, there's a group that I am associated with in Italy. And I would say out of the people that I talked to, there's 10 of them that can use this viewing technique or had already kind of figured it out, but they were telepathic or psychic themselves or had a near-death experience earlier in life, like myself. But there are 10 people I know for sure that actually can do what we're doing here, what we show in the book. They can see it also, and they've gotten the same results. They don't see the portals necessarily. None of them have described that to me, but they, I think, are real close because this is the year this is all going to start to happen, Margie. I was
Hmm.
shown while on board the Arcturian, that being on May the 10th, that this is the year for this. Okay, and it's been
Yeah.
building up. It answers a lot of the things going on in society. I could go into that where the frequency is going up. Okay, the
Oh,
conscious
most certainly.
frequency.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm getting a download again of energy. It's going through me now, so I know I'm speaking the truth. Okay,
Hmm.
this energy field is coming into our 3 dimension. Okay, we're all getting ready to move up a notch in frequency. And as I said, I had the last lucid dream I had, I was shown a flash event. That's the best description. It's this energy coming in, and this is the year that everybody's going to start experiencing this. We've had a couple of years here starting in 2020. And as my photos start to show, these portals are opening up, Margie. That's what I'm seeing.
Hmm.
And that's
Hmm.
why the people, as you've reported, they see this flash or this white light. Uh, you've seen this. I showed you in here. I'm just seeing these portals. They're being projected in here. These are images. They're holographic, some of them aren't. the beings in their craft are physically here, because you'll start to see an interface with the atmosphere. There's an ionization that takes place.
Mhm.
And also in these portals, when they actually come 3D, they're physical. The Palladian craft I showed you, it just kind of looks like a fuzzy thing around it. And then the next still I take, that literally it happens when I'm hitting the phone like this. I'm just going like this on the button, take them one picture at a time. In the blink of an eye, they're there. It goes from a portal, fuzzy portal, they're there. You can see them 100%. I can just hold the phone and look through the phone and see it. And then they'll move usually a little bit to the left or the right. And other times they don't move at all, or they'll diminish and just go away and fade out. That's another interesting thing. And there's no flash, but a lot of times when they do that, at the very end, they'll get the top of them, they'll get kind of fuzzy and you won't see any more of it. That's how it works.
Okay, we've got a couple of people who've raised their hands. Adam, go
on,
ahead.
guys? Bill, couple
Yes.
questions. One, I have a Canon it's an XF705 high definition video camera.
Yes.
Can I apply that same technique to the video camera you're discussing with yours?
Yes. What I ended up doing, because I have a really good 4K video, like one of my cameras will take that.
Right.
And I just aim up, usually in the sky, in the later evening when the sun is still, as for right now, between 5 and 7 in the evening. I usually stand behind something or set it up on a tripod, or stand by. I've got as I said, a 7-foot tall fence, so I can stand there and hold it up above and shoot over my head, and I can see the flip screen usually.
Well, I bought a so the camera I have, this is going to sound strange because this is, I have that as a child. I thought I was a Jedi. So anyway,
yes,
I bought a tripod that's mechanical. And so when the lens locks onto something, the camera will follow it as opposed to you having to hold it. It has a gyrator it sits on. But what you're saying, the filter system is probably something why I'm missing a lot, because I get a lot of fragment, a lot of artifact from the sunlight.
Yes. I basically experimented where I use a glass, the typical polarizer lens, the glass lens that you go get.
Right.
I find that they're circular. Okay.
Right.
They project it more of a circular instead of a linear polarization.
Right.
You'll still see things, but you won't see it as clear. And actually, that darker the shade, because a lot of those will show up, they'll be kind of gray, but it'll still show up. Things will show up. I've got video where I've done that with my 4K camera and the Kodak. It's made by Kodak.
Gotcha.
And it'll show up in it. Things will show up. But I find if I just hold, as I said, I just go pop out a lens out of these fit over sunglasses.
I mean, I imagine I could have something custom made to the camera. If I show you an image of it, it's I'm not sure you're familiar. It's like these high definition Canon cameras. They're meant for videography and doing
Well, they're almost like for astronomical.
Yeah. I mean, they're incredibly powerful cameras, which is why that's why I bought the mechanical arm, because I should not be allowed to handle it.
Yeah.
Question 2 about the propulsion you were discussing. And Margie, I apologize if I don't have video. I'm in the process of moving, so I'm bound to a basic computer here.
Okay. And Bill, would you go ahead and stop sharing your screen?
Yeah, I'm going to stop
and that
sharing,
way people can see you better.
There we go.
Yeah. Then we've got a couple more questions.
Gotcha. And I'll wrap up fast. The propulsion, is this based on a frequency?
Yes.
That's what I thought. Okay, because that's why I always ask the question, and I have a Navy pilot I'm going to be speaking to soon. I never hear anyone say anything about the sound barrier being broken, ever.
No, it's at a different, these operate at a different frequency. And the first 2 that I saw fly from east to west in the morning,
right,
they were close enough that I would have heard it if they were going to make any noise. They didn't make any noise. And I'm not kidding you, 10 minutes earlier, a large jumbo jet went north right over my house. Okay. And it had already gone away and it made noise. Okay. You could hear it.
Yeah. Because
these are just outside our normal optical without using this filtering. And if I took the sunglasses off, just looking up in the sky, you can't see any of it. And I put
Yeah,
them back
a lot
on.
of these objects too, people fail to understand. Like if an airplane had no engines and it was going through the air with its mass, it's disrupting the air. You're still going to
Exactly.
hear it. So
Exactly. Yeah, you would have heard it, or the engines. You're going to hear the engine, which is basically the frequency. Even if it's a prop airplane, you're disturbing, and there's vibration,
right.
the noise, the frequency, which is a frequency thing. But these are optically at a higher frequency than what most people can see. But I early on, when I figured out that what they showed me on this craft, it took me a bit, but the next day, not even 24 hours later, I'm at work. I just happen to have a camera because I'm witnessing a test, and I happen to have a digital camera with me. And I shot through the lens because I could see it. And I had another engineer with me. And I said, well, here, take my sunglasses. I handed him a pair of my sunglasses. Then he could see it just sitting in the sky. This thing wasn't even moving.
Excellent. So before I wrap up, 'cause I got to get back to moving, everybody. I apologize.
Yes.
Bill, when you get an opportunity, if you have my email, send me a list of anything I should go get for equipment, because I'll do it. You know, I'm hell bent on finding something.
Well, maybe you can tie in here with Margie here can tie in.
Yeah.
If you want to do that. And I'll see if we can do that.
Yeah.
And that's also in the book.
Yeah, it's in the book.
Yeah.
I'll buy the book.
Exactly what to do.
In fact,
Yeah, the book has a step-by-step and shows you what to do.
You said it's on Amazon, the book, yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yep.
Fast Movers.
Fast. Yep.
The Fast Movers.
Let me make sure I've got it.
Thank you,
Looks
Adam.
like that. Looks exactly like that. That's my copy.
Yeah, let me get on.
And the stuff I showed you that's on the back, that's one of my photos. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. You can see
Awesome.
you can see the windows in it. Isn't that interesting? It's staring back at me.
Right.
Just sitting there in the sky.
I just bought it on Amazon.
Okay, thank you.
That was quick.
Thank you.
Listen,
It's the best. It's the best information you're gonna have. You'll understand.
Yeah, I'll promote it on the podcast. I'll put it in links on every podcast so that people can reference it.
Yes.
Thank you, Adam. We
Thank
appreciate
you very
that.
much.
Not a problem, guys.
Yes.
All right, I got to get ready to go. I got to move, and then I got a 9-ball tournament tomorrow, and it's going to be busy for me, man. I appreciate it, and I enjoyed this thoroughly.
Okay. Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you for sharing.
Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Yes.
Okay, and we got James Bear has his hand up. Go ahead, James.
Yes, I have a question about time. When the craft come through the wormhole or the portal
Yes.
and enter our atmosphere, are they traveling forward, backward, or in the real time? Or in real time?
They come into our real time. They come into our space time.
Okay, but how are they? Are they traveling forward or backward in time?
Okay. That at the point that they want to interact with us, they're coming into our time.
Okay.
Do you know anything about string theory?
Yes.
Okay. They enter our string line. Our stream. That's a better way of thinking of it.
Okay.
They're entering our stream.
Okay. Next question.
Yes.
The Pix Pro X501. That's an older camera, correct?
Yes, it was the first camera I was able to get in 2009, and technology's come along a lot since then.
I'm going to go look in the old. I like to haunt the pawn shops. I'll see if I can find one of those. Now, on the polarization, connect with that is my glasses are polarized, linearly polarized. Will those work?
I know from my own experience, I've experimented. I've had to use like fit overs.
Mm-hmm.
Work the best, and darker the color, the best. Seems to, I guess, shade a little bit better.
My glasses change shade as the brightness of the sun.
Well, I wouldn't look directly into the sun. Don't go out and do
I'm
that.
not saying that, sir.
Yes.
It's when I go outside and my lens is darkened.
Yes, I understand. Yeah, I've seen those that do that. I haven't experimented with that yet. As I said, my glasses are just normal, progressive lenses. They don't do that. And as I said, I figured out real quick when I found out that I could see just popping out a lens out of my fit overs. And then I did some research, and this is linear polarization.
Okay. Well, Bill, thank you very much for your answers. Appreciate it.
Yes.
Okay, we've got a question from Eileen and Frank.
Okay.
Go ahead, guys. Well, you've got to unmute yourself. Well, you're not muted. Okay, well, we did have a question earlier,
Okay.
and she popped out from Anne. She asked how large the Pleiadian ships were. Do you have
Okay.
any idea?
Okay. From my experience, when I got on board, they are huge. They're 4 stories tall. Just imagine
Wow.
looking up at a built like 4 of my houses stacked on top of each other.
Mm-hmm.
4 stories tall. And I didn't see any stairs. Everything was in the one I was on was circular. And then they had stairways that were ramped. Okay. It was more of a ramp. If you moved through the space, it was ramped as you move through it. And I went to a mezzanine level, and that's when I encountered 2 of them, and they wanted to know why I was there.
I'll bet they did.
And they also, I'll just tell you this, there's male and female energy, okay? For lack of better explanation, so everybody knows, there's male and females still. There's energy involved, okay?
Mm-hmm.
The one that spoke back telepathically to me was a female, obviously somebody or, a being that was more in charge, because there was another one, it looked directly at me and it felt male, okay? And it just turned and walked away. It didn't care if I was there, but the other one was more in charge and wanted to know how I got there. It even asked that question. I said, well, I'm here to learn everything about you and your craft, and I'm not afraid. Okay. That's what I said back telepathically. And they let me walk down about, I'd say I walked about, 200 feet, 300 feet, somewhere in there, and looked up and everything, and just kind of mentally recorded what was there. And while I was doing this, the tall one was following me to my right side. It literally was following me to make sure, I guess, I didn't get in trouble or see something I wasn't supposed to see. And I finally
pushed the wrong button.
Yeah. And I said, well, I've seen everything I need to know here. And I popped back into my body. So I went from astral back into my physical body.
Yeah.
And as we know, some people can't believe that you can do this, but I've been able to do this, Margie, since I was after my near-death experience.
Well, Ray Hernandez, who talks
Yes.
about consciousness and contact a lot, one
Yes.
of the things he discusses is that people who have had near-death experiences,
Mm-hmm.
Something happens to open their mind.
Yeah.
And they are, a lot of people are more likely to have more psychic abilities and have contact
Mm-hmm.
and have experiences like this. So something occurs within the mind during that near-death experience to make people wake up.
I'm gonna just come out and say this like I did 2 months ago on another program I did on another podcast. I got asked the question, "Are you from here?" I literally got twice.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got asked that question, "Are you from here?" And I had to say, "No, I'm not from here." I know that for a fact. I mean, I'll just be quite honest.
Yeah.
I was either sent here for a reason, because what happened to me was supposed to have been my awakening moment when I was 19 years old. Okay. That was my awakening moment. And ever since then, I've been trying to find my purpose. And then in 2009, that's when I was supposed to wake up because of all the other strange things that had happened. My psychic abilities were opening up. I always knew where I needed to be, the people I was supposed to associate with, what job I was going to have. I was already shown all these in dreams, Margie. So this just plays out. And now's the time. This year, though, the rest of the planet, everybody else that isn't awakened, it's their time. This is this energy coming in right now. And this is the ability to see beyond the veil, as I call it. Other people, they can relate to that. And they're like, well, what? Oh, okay. The veil. Yeah, I said, it gets lifted. And it all starts with, I guess, getting rid of the fear. Because that's what holds a lot of people back, because they know there's something else out there. Everybody knows. In fact, I got asked that yesterday by a young gentleman that I was working with. He says, well, how come they don't come down here? And I said, well, it's just like some books, is like, well, they can't interfere. It's a choice. They can't interfere. It's consciousness. And once I told him that, he's like, oh, I get it. I said, yeah. And actually, he's going to try to watch this podcast. I was going to give him the information because he was interested in the presentation and this discussion. And that's just another thing. I keep finding that I keep running in, I keep associating with people one step at a time. Every week now, there's at least 2 or 3 people, even that I work with, and it just keeps going. And I said, well, wait a minute. I heard Spicer said something about this. Is that real? And then I show them my picture on my cell phone, and they, they come unglued at first, and then they settle down, and then they listen. And I said, it's real simple. In fact, I may even do it out in front of the office building where I'm at. Go out
once people get over that fear, that negative energy, which is a vibration.
Energy. Exactly.
Once once that is cleared out, then good things happen. Okay, let's try Eileen and Frank one more time. Okay. I know you don't have your mute on, so do you want to ask a question? No, that's not working. Well, thank you so much, Bill. This has been great. Fascinating stuff. I know everybody loved it, and everybody who's going to watch this in the future is going to love it as well. So thank you. And hopefully we'll do some more good things together.
Yes, I've got some ideas. I've just had a few ideas that came across to me a week or 2 ago. So we'll see. And as I said, I'm going to put some of the photos that just happened on May the 10th. I'm going to make a quick YouTube video I'm working on. I've got some ideas on how to present it, because I think there's going to be some people, their eyes are going to open up. And I'm actually going to show my rendering of this and the photo of the head of this Arcturian being. I've never shown that. This is the first time I've ever shown anybody other than my wife. She's seen it. And so that'll be interesting, and how we got there.
Pretty fantastic. Yes, absolutely. All right. Thank you, everybody, for attending, and be sure to join us again next month here on the UNX Network. Bye, everybody.
Bye.